Welcome to the podcast, From One Mother of an Addict to Another. This is a space of sharing heartfelt personal experiences, insightful thoughts, and powerful suggestions, which can hopefully assist and offer strength navigating your journey alongside a loved one facing addiction and mental illness.
Welcome to the podcast episode, The Effectiveness of Counseling. You know, I can't begin to tell you how many times people say to me, wow, you're still in counseling? Wow, you still see someone after all these years? What do you have to talk about? What happens when you have nothing to talk about? How do you stick with it? Why? Why do you feel like you still need it? It's interesting because I look back at the first time I decided to go into counseling for my son's issues, and I was not prepared. I was not prepared to understand what was really happening to my son, to my family, to me personally. I know I was in trauma. I knew I was in shock. I knew that I felt like my life was out of control, and I needed someone to help me figure this all out. But I didn't get a lot of straight answers from people at all. I couldn't understand a lifetime. What does that mean? What does a lifetime mean? Like, I'm going to be dealing with this for a lifetime? Like, I don't even know what this is yet. I couldn't wrap my hands around this situation that I was in, with the addiction, with the drugs, with the behavior, with being scared to be in the house, with him getting in my face. So I feel that when I look back, sometimes it's very important to not listen to others about what your needs are, but listen to yourself. If you need to speak with someone, it's not your sister, it's not your mom, it's not your husband, it's someone outside the situation. You cannot do that to someone and put the stress on them, because that's going to be your whole relationship. That's what it's going to turn into, and you don't want that. Your sister should be your sister. Moving forward, you should have different memories. Not the memories of always have, so you're going to say, that they've been there for you? You know what? You need to be there for yourself, because at the end of the day, that's who needs to take care of themselves. They need to be the strong ones. You need people's positive behaviors around you, positive attitudes, supporting your well-being, but you don't need anybody to just sit there and listen to everything you have to say, and then feeling judged, feeling like they know more than you really wanted them to know, but you had no one to speak with. I know all this. I know all these scenarios. But there are things you're going to have to speak about, and it's not for your family to know. It's for you to know and your therapist. And that's basically where it's at. They all have skeletons in their closets. Everyone does. And it's very important to share the things that you feel, the way you feel, how all these things came about. The first time you knew that they were taking drugs, the first time you were really being honest with yourself about how bad the situation has gotten. And you stop making excuses for your loved one, that's when you really need to get help. Now, sometimes it's before that moment. Like, it was definitely, I got help before that moment. I got help when I did realize that I needed to make some changes in the house. Yes, that was when I went to see someone. I grabbed anyone that was on my insurance. Ended up to be a man. He was available as soon as possible, an older gentleman, and I went to see him. He was good for the moment. And what he said to me was, this is how you're going to tell him, your son, that he's going to have to leave the house if he doesn't want to live by your rules. He gave me a sheet of paper, and he told me, okay, let's go through the rules. I wrote down the rules. I had the piece of paper with me when I gave him, my son, the ultimatum. Now, I could have probably done this myself, yeah. But I wasn't even strong enough to kick my son out. I was trying to get to that point as well. Like you, like everybody. You don't want to kick your kid out. You know they have nowhere to go. They have no money, no job. How are they going to live? What are they going to do? They're the most resourceful people ever. So you don't have to worry about them where they're going to be. They will figure it out. And they'll be happy with what they figure out because they're adamant that nothing's wrong with them. It's all you. So first thing that I did is after I saw that therapist and I realized, okay, I gave my kid the ultimatum. I got to that place. I needed someone that really worked with addicts. I needed someone that understood what drinking too much was and what it meant to go to rehab. At that point, I had no idea what rehab was. I didn't know what the next step would be, and I was extremely naive. And when you're naive and not educated, that's when bigger mistakes occur. I did find someone, and the first time I went to them, I said, okay, so if I get my son from point A to point B being the addiction center, if I could get him there to a rehab, then everything's going to be okay. And she said to me, about 98% of the time, it's not okay. And there's going to be second time, a third time, fourth time, and typically it's even 5 or 6 times in rehab before they're willing to help themselves. Now, at that time, I was like, oh my God, what? But that was a truth, and that was something I needed to hear so I could comprehend and understand that this is not, like, you can't do everything right and have the right outcome. Because look at you as a parent. You didn't make this happen. You didn't make them have psychosis. You didn't make them drink and drink and drive their car into curbs and have their tires constantly needing to be replaced. Their behaviors, their poor behaviors, skipping school, lots of complaints, getting in your face, stealing. No, you didn't make those decisions. But you had to live with them, and you probably continue to live with them, depending on where you're at in this situation, and if you're strong enough to say that's it. And I'm not judging anybody. I was not strong enough, okay? I did not handle this properly from the beginning. Handling them properly would have been, that's it. You stay here, you live by my rules. Otherwise, goodbye. And I should have just let him walk out the door. But I couldn't get to that point so fast. And even when he went to live with his dad, everyone was enabling him. We were constantly enabling him. I was more worried about how he felt about me. I wasn't even thinking about how sick he was, actually, at that point. I just wanted to make everything better. And that just kept making everything so much more worse. Now, I'm not blaming myself. I'm just saying. I did have therapy once a week, and she was extremely helpful. But at the end of the day, I was so sad. I was at a loss. I saw so many people around me having their kids graduate and the excitement of the next steps. And I had no next steps with my son. I didn't get that glory. I didn't get that glory of seeing him walk down the aisle for graduation. I didn't get the glory of seeing him with a partner. I don't get the glory, any of these glories of daily achievements. I didn't have that. I don't have those memories. I don't even remember the last time I had a memory of his birthday. So the thing is that having someone consistently to speak with that knows what it's like to be around an addict or a recovering addict is very important. It's really life or death for the family. I truly believe that. I can't help a friend that has had a child that drowned because my child didn't drown, right? You can't comfort someone that child died of cancer because you hadn't experienced that unless you have. And then you can associate and you could say, I know how that feels. But you can't just do that if you haven't experienced it. And people that experience it are the ones that are in it, living it every day. Being honest about it, not being honest, doesn't matter. They're still there and they're still involved in it. So that's why groups are great. Going to any kind of support group for any family matters. Drive 20 minutes, 30 minutes away if you don't want anybody in your neighborhood to see you or know you. Because I guarantee you, I went to my local groups and they were there. Local people that I had no idea, people that I knew that were experiencing the same thing as myself. It's effective. It's effective for a certain amount of time. Now, I went to these meetings, Al-Anon meetings and group meetings and family meetings and parenting meetings and NAMI meetings. I never heard a good story. I really did. I never heard a good story. I never heard a good outcome. Maybe the story I wanted was different than the outcome's really ever going to be. Because there's always going to be that worry in the back of your mind as an adult, as a parent. You know, would you rather them, okay, let's get them sober. Okay, they're getting back. Okay, they're back in school. Oh, okay, they found a life partner. Oh, great. They're going on and on and on with their life. And then all of a sudden, oh, they have kids. Okay. And then all of a sudden some trauma happens and boom, everything falls apart. They get divorced. They don't get custody of their child. They have to go back to rehabs. They're constantly in and out of their kids' lives. What is that? More chaos for the family. And then you brought a whole new family into the chaos. You don't want that either. It looks good from the outside, but it's not. It's not healthy. And that's why therapy and counseling, any kind of counseling, coaching, a therapist, a psychiatrist, whatever you need, whatever those needs are, be it on anxiety medication, or you're having panic attacks, or you need someone to help you turn your life around. It's okay if you can't do it on your own. Most people can't. You could try and spend your whole life doing it. Don't put that on your partner. Don't put that on your family. It's not the way to go. You'll be more productive. This will happen quicker for you. You'll get stronger with the consistency of help. And help only looks one way. Someone from the outside looking in to your situation that has either experienced this before or that has worked around people that has experienced it before and knows what to look for, knows what's next. You know, I think that, I see people that go to therapy and then all of a sudden I say, oh, how's it going? Oh, no, I didn't need it anymore. I had nothing to say to them. Oh, really? You have nothing to say? Well, guess what? It doesn't matter if you have nothing to say. Think of something that's going on in your life and talk about it because you still need therapy. Every time I think I don't need it, I end up needing it. And it might not be that week, but it might be 2 weeks later. And the consistency has helped me. Who else am I going to talk to about, how sad I feel, how I feel sometimes that I'm putting pressure on my second son, how I feel that, I look around and all these people's families are growing and I don't have that, and how that makes me feel, and what it's going to look like in 5 to 10 years. I don't know. Is it ever going to change? Is my son ever coming back? Is he going to come back into our lives, and is he going to be healthy? There are a lot of questions, and those definitely sit and weigh on you. Now, one of the things I have found to be therapeutic is to find hobbies. But then you find yourself how like people fill themselves with food, right? Because when you're sad, it makes them feel better. I think my hobbies are making me feel better. And that's why I'm constantly bringing more things into my life to do or learn how to do. So it distracts me. It's helping. But then there are times when it doesn't, because nothing is going to take the pain away. Nothing. Not the years, not the therapy, Nothing. You can't expect therapy or counseling to help you with your sadness like that. It's not going to be. It's not. It will help you get stronger. It will help you realize that you have to focus on your life. It will get you to understand that this is not at you. This anger that your addict has is not at you, or they have mental illness. They're going to be angry at the people that have done the most for them, that love them the most, that have been around them from the day they gave birth to them. Those are the people that are going to suffer from their addict the most. And that's why it's better that you have more people around you that are mentally and physically healthy than to bring everyone else into the equation to make them unhealthy. That's the only thing that can help you, is getting the mental health back up so you could be strong for yourself, for your family, and for your loved ones. And the effectiveness of counseling is just that. And it's not a year, and it's not 2 years. And truthfully, like sometimes I'm like, maybe I'll do it like once a month. Okay, so I have stopped it counseling in between. And there will be a time where you go a year without it, right? And then all of a sudden something else comes up and you're like, ooh, I really need that. Okay, that's fine. The effectiveness of counseling is getting you through a certain situation, a certain behavior that you're having trouble handling. Yourself, you're enabling, or you're out of enabling and you need help with that. There are many things, many questions. What's the next step? Trying to help your addict get to the next step after being sober. How do they stay sober? That's not on you. You can't help them be sober. You could do everything in the world possible. They're going to find it if they want it. And they're going to have to get used to that because they'll be around it their entire lives. Because you know what? No matter how much you want to tell people not to offer you to drink, they're going to offer you a drink. No matter how many times they say that they're a recovering addict, they're going to offer them a little pot. What's a little pot? If they're a gambler and they're going to ask them to play cards with them, they're not thinking of anyone else but themselves. So it's that situation and those life circumstances that are going to have have the addict help themselves and make themselves strong enough to get to that place where they know they need to get to, and strong enough and confident enough to say, no, I don't want to drink. No, I don't need to be friends with you and to have fun with you in order to play poker or have a drink or get stoned. That's not what I need. I'm looking for a friend. You want to be my friend? Great. You don't want to be my friend? That's okay too. But I can't be around the things that you're around. And those type of people aren't for them. Now, that doesn't mean that they have to be around sober, recovering addicts all the time. That's not really realistic. I know my son wanted to get out of that situation many times. And, you do get vulnerable because you have to be strong enough to be in those situations. And typically, they're not yet. So it takes a very strong person to get there. So the counseling and the effectiveness of counseling is really the amount of time you put in. And years ago, I know people had been in counseling for years, and I never understood why are they still in counseling? How much do they really need? But it's not necessarily the type of counseling you're thinking. It's more of a way of thinking. And the counseling over time helps you with that train of thought. And that's what you need to recover. And that's what you need to go on and live this lifetime journey of working and being there for your addict
Thanks
and your
for tuning
family.
in. I trust this episode brought you insight and strength, offering valuable coping strategies. Stay connected with weekly content, plus follow if you enjoyed, and be sure to journal for your own self-care.